Michael.
Like he just threw bars and he just couldn't reach them.
Pay attention, Michael.
Michael.
He never wants to pay attention to me. He never wants to do any work.
He won't lay on the sofa that I have.
I can't reach this kid. I don't know. Hello, it's Load Bearing Beams. My name's Matt Stokes.
And I'm Laci Roth. And before we start today, I just wanted to remind everybody that we've been getting out there more in the social media, YouTube, and specifically TikTok, and a wonderful little community called Film Talk. And we've actually stumbled upon a bunch of fellow movie enthusiasts who have interesting things to say and some cool podcasts as well. And so we wanted to tell you about one. Take it away.
This is from our friends at the 13 Degrees of Screams podcast.
One theme, 13 screams.
13 Degrees of Screams podcast dissects your favorite horror movies.
Each season, we will cover 13 movies around one theme.
We will discuss the real-life myths and legends that inspire these movies and tell you just how scary they are.
With your host, Alex and Stephanie, join us as we dive deeper into the degrees of screams.
So please check them out wherever you get your podcasts. In fact, wherever it is you found this one. And thank you.
Well, this is unfortunately, God, hate to say it, the conclusion of Load Bearing Screams 2023.
Oh, okay. The spooky season has come to a close.
It's coming to a timely conclusion. The Festival of Samhain is upon us, and the welcoming of the dead shall soon commence, and then it'll be gone. So that sucks. So after that, we won't talk about scary movies.
Right.
I'm sure we will.
And boy, are we jumping straight into a not at all scary movie with one of mine.
Yeah, you picked this movie called Mannequin.
Mm-hmm.
What is this movie?
It's not called Mannequin 1. It's just called Mannequin. What is this movie, God? I don't know, but I know I love to be in a mall. And I love to be in a mall when other people aren't in the mall. And in my memory, that's what Kim Cattrall gets to do in this movie. And she gets to fall in love with, what's his nose from Pretty in Pink? What's his name?
Andrew McCarthy.
Yes, also from... Not Bob's Burgers. No. Weekend at Bernie's. Same. I just remember this being funny. I believe there's another actor in it that's very funny, and it's funny. I don't know. Just one of those movies.
Sounds funny.
I've heard it's funny, and I feel that it is. Yeah. So I'm probably right.
This is from the director, Michael Gottlieb, who later went on to make the Hulk Hogan vehicle, Mr. Nanny. Oh. Yeah, truly, I've never heard of this movie. It was a big hit in 1987, so we'll see.
Yeah.
Watch it now. Get ready for next week. It's streaming on Max. So we are talking today about Halloween. Halloween, the movie. Mm-hmm. But first, horror movies, eh?
I've heard of them.
Were you aware that the jump scare is gone?
What?
Yeah, in the cinema of now, in the cinema of 2023. So I came across this week in the Washington Post. Yes.
Then why is it that I have wine all over the sofa?
Because you're an anxious, jumpy little creature, and
I'm not getting jump scared if I jump.
You are getting jump scared, but the quantity of jump scares based on a statistical analysis that the Washington Post ran, compiled from data from a website called Where's the Jump, which catalogs jump scares in movies.
Okay.
The number has been going down since 2014. Now, the first peak of the jump scare actually happened in 1981. The Evil Dead had a jump scare every 4 minutes. It then went down throughout the 80s and 90s, came back in the early 2000s, and that's certainly what I associate with. That's the era I associate the jump scare with. And you had movies, this is when all the slasher classics were getting remade, like Halloween and Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street. And in these cases, these remakes had way more jump scares than the originals.
It truly is every 20 years, isn't it? People just like, well, new crop of people to give something to.
It does come in those waves, yes. But we're at a low right now, which surprised me. I mean, I guess it shouldn't. Just normies know the term jump scare, and I think people think of it like in a
Five Nights at Freddy kind of way.
No, they look down on it.
Look down on the jump scare?
Yeah, that it's cheap. That it's not effective filmmaking.
I mean, maybe horror video games kind of maybe overdid it. There are certain games that have come out in the last like 10 years that, I mean, were so incredibly viral and popular. And I think maybe it's just like whatever that hormone is that's released, people stopped releasing it. Mm-hmm. You know, like when you do too much Molly.
Yeah.
And you can't be happy anymore.
Sure.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, it's a theory.
You can't take that away from me.
No.
All right.
Well, we have been, I think of jump scares as like, it's like running the ball in football. Does it get you as many yards as passing? No, but you got to do it to set up the pass. You got to throw in the jump scares just to keep your audience engaged and heighten the anxiety, which leaves you susceptible to the bigger thrills and chills and dread and emotion.
I find them necessary.
All in timing, all in context, all in the execution. So the business at hand is we're taking another look at Halloween 1978. This was a movie we've covered before on Load Bearing Beams. In fact, it was our second episode. We did an episode on Hook and Halloween. We used to do 2 movies per episode.
We were idiots.
That was our pitch. It's got to be 2, which is a terrible idea.
They're versus each other, but that was dumb. It doesn't make any sense.
And yeah, we talked about like both movies for probably less than the amount of time we talk about one movie today, which is just not enough time. You need to really sink in, live in the world.
It's when we make up our best theories.
Yes, when we go a little nuts, we focus and fixate way too much on the weird details like the Coke machine and the Addams Family Value police station.
I'm exhausted for my thoughts on this movie. Let me just say that.
Okay.
I'm just not looking forward to talking about how I feel about this movie with you. I loved it.
No, you didn't.
No, that's not it. That's not the problem.
Okay.
The problem isn't that I didn't like it. The problem is they're so mean to that boy. But we'll talk about it later.
You mean Michael Myers?
Yeah.
Oh.
You see my board?
No, I can't. I have something in
Well,
front
it has
of
a
me.
picture of Michael Myers in his clown costume, which, by the way, that stupid boyfriend, the one on the sofa making out with his sister, takes the boy's mask. And I'll tell you, children are very attached to their items, especially you get one day to wear the costume you bought and you can't wait. And some shit boyfriend who's distracting your sister, that's the only person that's there to watch you, probably to take you trick-or-treating. Do you think she did? I doubt it.
No, of course she didn't.
Of course she fucking didn't. And so the boyfriend is playing with the mask and making out with his sister, and Michael goes, grabs a knife. Well, what are you going to do?
In just like 5 minutes of screen time, less than that, you get all of this. I think this movie's been talked about so much, but it's 90 minutes long. It packs so much into it. And even in that one scene, you get like everything you need to know about this kid and his family. I mean, we're projecting these things onto him. Like his sister's going to take him trick-or-treating, and maybe he looks up to the boyfriend, but resents the boyfriend for
he looks up to no fucking boyfriend.
It looks up to the sister, resents the boyfriend for taking attention away from him.
Yes.
Has these weird mixed feelings because he sees her now naked and sees her as a sexual being, and this
he had the knife before that. No.
But he sees the light go on in the room, knows what that means.
No, he saw the light go off, and he got scared. Kids don't like the dark. That's what triggers him. I don't think he knows it means sex. I think he knows it means his sister's not coming out for a while. Why would he know about sex?
About what sets him off involves his sister having sex. It's interesting to think it doesn't. It's just a coincidence.
And I guess you can also say, okay, because Laurie is so appealing to him because she's the only one in the 3 girls in the modern day story that doesn't have sex. That's not true. She's just not having sex because she's being a really good caretaker. He is attracted to Laurie because of how sweet she is with the boy that she watches. Is the name Tommy? Tommy. Every scene with Tommy seems to like, I don't know. You can just see how drawn in. That's how he even found out she existed. Is she was walking with Tommy, put something at his door. She's talking to a kid like he's a person, and he's immediately infatuated. Not because I smell a virgin, but my God,
I've never bought the virgin thing. I've never bought that reading of it. That this is punishing people for having sex. No, that sex that Michael, the little boy's. Suddenly seeing his sister as a sexual being is what confuses and sets him off. That's what people point to.
I think kids see their siblings naked often, like from a certain age. Like now the sister in this movie was too old to be seen naked by her brother. I'm just saying, I think it's probably less of a big deal that he saw her naked and more of a big deal that she's not giving him any attention. They took his mask. And clearly it is made well known masks are very important to him. He wears one his entire life, or at least when he's outside of the institution. Don't institutionalize children. Actual bad guy, Loomis. But I guess that's understood. So with Beetlejuice, that one wasn't so far back in our catalog that I was like completely scared to listen to it. So I listened to it and I was pleasantly surprised. So because I wanted to make sure I did not repeat my same thoughts when we re-listen. I was, after watching last night, Halloween, I was like, there's no way I have the same opinion. So I didn't even bother. Did you go back and listen?
I listened to a lot of it. And then I also just had, a shitty AI transcription to just read our thoughts because I couldn't. But I got this little clip. I mean, most of our thoughts were, these girls sound weird.
I don't agree with that anymore.
So here, let's hear what we used to sound like.
Oh, God. Even when I was really into movies like this, I understood, or I thought maybe I was misunderstanding.
Who the hell is that?
Kermit the Frog?
The way they talk is not real.
No.
The
They don't like each other. Right? I mean, the friends, are you talking about the friends?
The friends, yeah. And, well, high school kids sometimes hang out together but don't actually like each other. But the weird, like, heightened, they all are spitting out, like, very, the dialogue that sounds very written, but none of it's clever or interesting.
Right, like, why did someone
and all
write
of
that?
it is very, very corny, and I don't think people spoke that way in 1978.
No, I wish we had some. Well, we'll get some good clips. Put them in here.
Burn that. Burn this computer screen that you've put this on. Oh my God. Yes. I think we were wrong in every aspect. I mean, who are we to say what people spoke like in 1978?
I wouldn't even level it as a criticism at a movie to say people don't talk like that because it's a movie. I mean, there's naturalism, but I think this is naturalistic.
I think it is naturalism too.
And also, why did I sound like this?
You sound like Kermit. You sound like little bitty baby Matt.
Yes, I've gone to the doctor recently to get my voice looked at because Laci...
Get your voice to get my spirit examined.
Take a look at my voice, please.
I'm picturing Ariel singing into a shell.
It was a lot like that, yeah. There were eels. But you had listened to some early episodes and said, you sound like a totally different person.
You do.
I am worried. And I was like, people age. And what
their voices go to hell.
And what a 5 years it's been, the pandemic and all that. And that it only happened to me. So of course I'm going to sound, 50 years older. But I did go to an ENT and I started I got a bunch of clips from my podcast to play the doctor to show him the slow degradation of my voice. And this is, you sometimes go into a doctor and sometimes Laci tells me to go see a doctor and I stumble and don't explain what she thinks is wrong with me. And the doctor looks at me like I'm crazy. But this time I'm like, and I can play, here's some clips I can play for you. And he's like, no, you don't need to. I can hear it. I can hear you sound like shit.
You sound like a bag of garbage rattling around.
Mm-hmm. So he gave me a little endoscopy and saw my vocal cords and said, your vocal cords are swollen. So you just need to take an antacid.
So it's also why you cough all the time.
I don't cough all the time, though. You cough way more than me.
You constantly go,
That's a tick. That's an anxious tick.
Oh.
Probably rooted in my childhood.
Stop it,
when I saw my sister.
Oh, gross.
But yeah, hey, maybe my voice will improve. Wait and see, listeners.
It won't
viewers.
be the mics. It'll be medicine.
Maybe I'll start sounding like Kermit again. But this is like, well, I recorded a fucking album where I sang during.
Yeah, you worked your ass off trying to get your vocals to cooperate.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see if science can cure me.
Do your worst, science.
Okay.
But
we did this movie before. We had a lot of thoughts about it. In the, many years since that episode aired, I've watched Halloween like 10 times. As soon as I saw it again, I was mad at myself for not liking it on our podcast. And I was under the influence of my cool wife, Laci, who didn't like it. And I wanted to impress her. But I was nervous. So let's
you
see.
were worried I wasn't cool anymore?
No, I even if you didn't like it, I wasn't going to think you weren't cool. Just there are things that I can tell about a movie that you don't like. And I was worried this movie would have them in spades.
It had things that were hard to keep watching.
So, okay.
Okay.
We have our pre-movie predictions. And this time we recorded them. Let's hear Laci's prediction.
I'm Kermit.
My prediction for Halloween. Because I have been primed with 2 horror movies from the same time period and one even by the same director, I feel I will have less issues with the pacing of the movie this time around. Plus, I'm super smart now. I think I will appreciate I think I will appreciate that it was a pioneer of what was to come. I'm sure I will still have some issues with the banter between the friends. I remember in the first time watching it, hating how much they don't seem to like each other. Like, not even a little. But maybe I'll be fine with that. I think I will like it much more than the first time, and again, I'm very intelligent. Goodbye.
Why would you choose to play the entire thing? God, speaking of bad pacing, get to your fucking point, Laci. Ugh.
You didn't tell me to edit it.
Dude, so I'm sorry.
Okay,
Are you not the producer and editor of this podcast? I
Okay.
kind of guess I thought you would
hold on.
understand that.
I think with podcasts, and people like our podcast, then they like us.
Okay.
If you like it, you can't get enough of it.
Oh,
give
you
me
can't.
all of it. Give me all of it you got.
Okay.
You them not seeming to like each other as friends has always been your refrain. You say it a lot in the old episode. Every time we've mentioned Halloween in an episode since you've brought this up.
Because it got lodged in my memory hole that way, but I don't feel that way anymore. I think they're rough with each other, but I don't think they don't like each other.
And I think that Annie and Laurie are friends. Lynda's the cool one, and Annie maybe turns up the meanness when Lynda's around. That's what I think. And Lynda's not so much Laurie's friend, but,
Yeah.
she can be around.
Right. Lynda's the glue.
Annie's the glue.
What? No.
Annie's the connector.
No. I
No,
think
Annie
for
and
sure
Laurie are good friends. Annie and Lynda
Laurie-
are good friends.
I don't agree.
No?
No, I think Lynda and Annie have way more. I'm sorry. Yeah, Lynda and Annie have way more in common, and I think that Laurie is the square they like to make fun of. Oh, you're bringing your books. I don't bring my books. Books, and they talk forever about how they don't study and all they do is fuck. They have way more in common. I think Laurie's just around and they like her and she's nice, but she's fun to make fun of. You always need that in the friend group.
So who's the glue?
Lynda.
Sounds like Laurie's the glue.
You already said that? You were wrong the first time.
No, I said Annie's the glue.
I didn't hear that. I heard Laurie. Damn it. Annie's the
These two
that's
movies.
the same. That's the same thing. Right? You get the same result. No, I don't agree. I think that Lynda and Laurie have better chemistry when they're alone, and then Annie joins them, and that's when things get mean. Unless, that's interesting, maybe Laurie and Annie are actually closer, and she's already starting off mean because she's already annoyed that she hangs out with Lynda too much.
It's funny, all of this comes from basically one scene.
One scene, because, and I guess, they did make it clear that the only reason we babysit is to have a fuck house.
Yeah.
So I guess I always took it as, well, Lynda made plans to come over to the house where Annie was babysitting, not plans to come over to the house where Laurie was babysitting. So that means they're more friends.
Mm-hmm. That's what I said.
Oh, you did.
And this has all happened before. And Lynda, pivots to Laurie seamlessly to leech onto her because they've done this countless times before. And Laurie's used to her friends, using her for sex.
That's a weird way to put it, but yeah, using her for a house of sex. Watch these kids.
This movie is like a book of the Bible or something that's like short, and so every single word
We've dissected
of
this
it,
text.
but everyone has, and every element from this movie has like been fodder for analysis, and then just like details in a sequel. Like a couple of the sequels have involved the children that Laurie babysits as grown-ups. Paul Rudd plays one of them in one of the sequels.
What?
The two movies that you referenced, what were they that we watched to prepare for this? We watched
John Carpenter's The Thing, and we watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original one, which I fucking loved.
You did.
I just love Leatherface. So I want a pillow made of Leatherface's face, and I want to sleep with it. I love him.
You latched on to Leatherface. It was very sweet. You think of Leatherface the way I think of Jason, but in Texas Chainsaw, it's more actually on screen, whereas I'm just sort of projecting onto Jason. Like, no, he's a sweetheart.
Right.
He'd treat you right.
He had a mean mommy.
Whereas with Leatherface, you see him on screen being treated poorly by his brothers, and you see that he has an intellectual disability. And
right.
Yeah. But you liked The Thing. It seemed like you liked The Thing.
It kept my interest. I wouldn't watch it again probably, but I have rewatched the practical effects and the makeup over and over on YouTube afterward.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Because that was something. I recognize art when I see it. I just don't need all the movie part.
Okay, let's hear from me. Let's hear what I had to say.
God, I never hear from you.
Totally. My prediction for our Halloween viewing is that, well, I've watched it like 4 or 5 times since the last time we did an episode on it, so I'm confident it's one of the best movies ever made, and I love it. Will Laci like it? My prediction is she will like it fine. We've watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre and The Thing in the past few days. I would guess that if she ranked those 3 movies, Halloween would be 3rd, but I don't know. But yeah, I'm a good time will be had by all.
I wouldn't go that far. What is this background music? You crazy boy.
So I think hearing from us has been a big success.
Oh, God, I hope we keep doing this.
Yeah.
It's a podcast inside of a podcast, and I'm all about that exception.
Halloween we would rank it ahead of The Thing.
Yes.
Interesting.
Is it?
Let's talk about slasher movies, because we're going to be here for 3 hours talking about the history of Halloween. But first, we have to talk about the history of slashers and horrors and all of that. But like, what is a slasher movie in your words?
Okay, I don't know the definition. I just assume it means that there's going to be knife play. This is a movie not about guns. It's just so much more gory and hand to hand, so much more personal, and it means you have to run and there has to be a chase, and that there's going to be nudity. Most likely, there's going to be teens getting up to things they shouldn't be. There shouldn't be, and there's going to be scream queens.
Yeah.
I've done it.
Usually it is not. There can be a supernatural like origin story of the villain, like Chucky is brought to life by voodoo curses or whatever. But after that, it has to kind of follow sort of, natural law.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, which is like why it's scary, because like a person with a knife can exist. They can come into your house if they wanted to. There'd be nothing you could do to stop them. And that's way scarier than any,
And in fact, they can get that knife or sharp object from your own house
and
from your own hand. Mm-hmm. I don't know that there is a movie where a person has a sharp object they grab in a hurry to defend themselves that doesn't get flipped around on them.
So the slasher, where did the slasher come from?
I already know this. Yay. But that's funny. They had to get it down. This is a little too technologically advanced with that chainsaw Leatherface.
What do you mean? So
he was very cutting edge. No, he does have a knife and a hammer at different points, but his weapon of choice is the chainsaw. And I believe Texas Chainsaw Massacre is the first one to kind of lay out this formula. It's
so with all things, it's complicated and this could be its own 8-hour podcast. And people have different ideas about whether, Texas Chainsaw counts as a slasher, whether Black Christmas counts as a slasher, whether Halloween is the real first slasher, is Psycho a slasher?
Don't you feel that teens, where they should not be, unsupervised youth, is also
it seems like
mandatory,
a pretty key thing,
or negligent adults? And when other movies you're listing, I picture adults,
but it could be It just has to be younger. Like in the Friday the 13th movies, they're usually, in their early 20s, if not teenagers, but they're camp counselors. They're adults, but they're, young adults.
Oh yeah, but there's also they are taking care of other people's children. When it turns into parents, it turns into something different for me. A parent taking care of a child. Then you've got a thriller.
Yeah, it does feel different.
Yeah, there's something. It's because all of these movies are just based on people's normal fears, super mundane fear. Is my kid weird? Will my kid make friends? Am I doing a good job as a parent? Is it bad that I want to have my own life? Is it wrong of me to ask the kid down the street to watch my kid? What happens when I'm not around? That's it. These are parents' worst nightmares, these movies.
Oh, okay. So it's not that you need to remove that baggage in order to have a slasher, because if you add that all in, it just sort of becomes a different kind of thing.
I'm saying that Leatherface, that Freddy, that Jason and Michael, those are all a parent writing a movie about their worst nightmare for their kid. It's what happens when I'm not around. I can remove guns from the house. I know not to have a gun, but we have a butcher block. We tell our children not to run with scissors. We always are scared if they're chasing each other with a stick. But when we're not around, what do they get up to? And am I a bad parent because I'm not watching them every second of every day? And in fact, I don't want to.
And Nightmare on Elm Street kind of heightens that. You want your kids to go to sleep.
Yes.
And this is like, no. That's where they're in the most danger of all, and you can't do anything about it.
Exactly.
Psycho is, it's the book of Genesis in a way, because everything that comes after it has to be responding to it, incorporating it in some way. We covered Psycho back in 2018. It's a delightful movie, even if you don't like old movies. You'll like Psycho. It's a lot of fun, but it is not a slasher like Halloween, which is also a super old movie, but feels like it's from a totally different era.
There's a more of an artistry to Psycho. Yeah, it feels a little more highbrow, I would think.
I mean, yes. It starts with, nice adults in a high-rise building discussing business and money and marriage and stuff.
Only an adult can rent a hotel room, as we found out many times. No, that never happened. But there were multiple times before I was 25 where I kept forgetting you have to be 25 to get a room somewhere in most places.
No, that's not true.
Most places.
I stayed at a billion hotels.
Look it up. There was probably in your mom's name.
No, it was never in my mom's name.
Little mama's boy bitch.
No, this is, you and I stayed in hotel rooms before I was 25.
And we put on a mustache. I got on your shoulders. We wore a coat. Asked where the library was.
I know you have your I know things thing, but this is not one of those things.
Fine.
You're getting it mixed up with cars.
Rental cars.
Yes.
What are you going to do? Go stay in a hotel without a car?
So Psycho is 1960. The, female lead of Psycho is, of course, Janet Leigh, mother of Jamie Lee Curtis.
Oh, the one with the short hair?
That's her, the one who gets killed in the shower.
Look at her.
And, her boyfriend in that movie is named Sam Loomis, who's also in Halloween. Well, there's lots of other different kinds of horror movies, but the next jump is Texas Chainsaw Massacre, 1974. We already talked about it, but the same year, there's another movie called Black Christmas.
I haven't seen that one.
I only just recently saw it.
It's in color?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
It's from 1974.
So was the other one. This just looks like a brighter color.
And this movie fucking rules. I can't believe I never saw it. I'm going to watch it every year from now on.
Oh, we can do this during Christmas then.
We can, yes.
Oh, how nice.
But there is something that I think will keep you from liking it. There's two things.
Baby death.
I wrote, the other two things you don't like. Snow.
I am warming to it, ironically.
And the main character's voice.
Oh, a vocal?
I got a super cut of her saying the word hello, because she says hello constantly in this movie, because she's always answering the phone. Because the killer's calling her and making obscene phone calls to her. This is Olivia Hussey. She's the actress who played Juliet in Romeo and Juliet.
Okay.
She's an English actress. She's doing maybe the worst American accent I've ever heard. In fact, the defense could be, she's not trying to do an accent. Her character's just canonically English.
Okay.
But,
Give it to me.
So this is her just constantly saying hello.
Hello? Hello?
What?
Hello? Hello?
got it.
Hello? Hello?
Okay, yeah, she's clearly English. I mean, that's not even her attempting to be American.
Yes, but she has a lot of line readings are just sort of bland American accent. But then, hello, hello, dearie. But this movie is great. It's set on a holiday theme, and the killer stalks a group of young women. In this case, they're sorority girls.
Another parent's biggest fear is when their kids go off it's either to summer camp or to college. It's when they are away from them for long periods of time.
Yeah. And that's very much like a point of the movie, because there is a parent character who's like, my daughter's missing. Okay, but it has all these like superficial similarities, but if you watch it, it's nothing like Halloween. And yet Halloween comes, and then every slasher movie after it resembles it in some kind of way. Especially the Friday the 13th movies.
So does Black Christmas just do a lot more with like eerie silence and like someone lurking, but there's not a lot of like gory action? You said it's a stalking movie is much different from like one that ends in murder.
Well, he stalks and murders. I would call Halloween a stalking movie too. It's just
waiting.
Halloween just has the beats in it that now you've seen in so many other movies that Black Christmas just doesn't have. It just seems like a more normal drama.
Halloween is not a stalking movie. It is not a stalk if you only do it during one day. There needs to be a pattern of behavior. He was just locating Jamie, making sure he wanted to definitely kill her.
All right.
He was planning.
I defer to you on this.
Thank you. I think that I don't think you could go to a cop and say this one guy showed up in 4 different places that I was today, and that's it. Don't worry, he's dead now.
Black Christmas has a very funny thing where they keep going to the cops, and the cops are like, what are you talking about? You're getting obscene phone calls, and one of your sorority sisters has been missing for 48 hours.
What are you talking? You dress like that? You learn out of books? You're asking for it.
It's just the Chief Wiggum, like, well, I'll just type that up on my invisible typewriter. All right, Halloween, yeah, prototypical slasher, and it was a fucking enormous hit. It made $70 million in 1978, a budget of less than $500,000.
Dang.
The most profitable independent movie of all time.
Still?
As of that point. If you incorporate all the sequels, I mean, it has to be, but just as a standalone movie.
Living his best. Look at him.
Yeah.
Yeah, guy's having fun.
John Carpenter has fun. John Carpenter, he spends his days getting stoned and playing video games. And he says this in every interview he's given. Like, what's a typical day for John Carpenter? He's like, I wake up late, I get the mail, I play video games, I get high. He hasn't directed a movie in, I think, 13 years, but he did the music for the most recent Halloween movies, made a ton of money just as a producer of those movies, and is, as Laci said, living his best life. Okay, so John Carpenter directed Halloween, was born in 1948. He was 30 years old when he made Halloween. He grew up in Bowling Green, Kentucky. His father was a music professor at Western Kentucky University, and they lived in a log cabin on campus at Western Kentucky. His twin loves in life, music and movies, and he found a way to do both. One of the best things about John Carpenter, if you read any interviews with him, he's the most unpretentious, most dismissive of his own work. He's like, anybody who takes me seriously is dumb. I don't know what I'm doing.
But you're a carpenter.
He has this quote from, he was interviewed by Variety this year. He said, quote, there's always some interpretation that I have no idea what they're talking about, but I keep my mouth shut. If people put interpretations on my movies, it makes me seem smarter than I really am, which is what I want. End quote. Okay, John Carpenter's first feature film was Dark Star in 1974. It was a very low budget movie that he collaborated on with Dan O'Bannon, who went on to be a major figure in the Alien franchise. And I knew that before I'd ever seen Dark Star. So when I saw Dark Star, I was just expecting sort of a low budget version of Alien made by John Carpenter, but it's really a comedy.
Ew.
And like the alien is played by a beach ball. And so it's very silly. And like, I didn't know what to make of it. I want to watch it again. I liked it, but I was like, I just should have been calibrated differently going into it.
You were not primed correct.
But it was kind of a hit in like the druggy 70s. And I mean, like a, super niche,
like Cheech and Chong.
Sleeper hit.
Cheech and Chong was like widely loved, right?
Yeah. And then he makes Assault on Precinct 13. And this is not a major hit movie, but it gets a lot of attention, gets a lot of praise. And I think it's a big hit in Europe, but not in America.
Hello. That's my Europe accent. Look at those guys. We got a picture here of Jamie Lee hugging a Carpenter.
She loves John Carpenter. She still talks highly about him today.
Uh-huh.
All right. So the origin of how Halloween started is this guy named Erwin Yablans.
It sounds like you gave up on the last half of his. Yablans.
Yeah. He was a producer for Compass International Pictures, which distributed Assault on Precinct 13. He targeted John Carpenter, decided, I want to work with him again. And I have an idea for a movie. It's a very, like, one sentence pitch. It's just babysitter murders. So what if some babysitters are murdered? That do anything for you? So John Carpenter gets to work on it. Well, first he says, okay, I will do it, but I have some pretty big demands. He wanted to write the movie and score the movie in addition to direct it. He wanted complete creative control. He wanted above the title billing. That's why the movie's called John Carpenter's Halloween. And he wanted his girlfriend, Debra Hill, to be the co-writer and the producer, even though she'd never produced a movie before. So they accepted all of these, and his salary was only $10,000. Not being an executive producer, he did not make anywhere near the amount of money he should on how profitable the movie has been. He's made money from the residuals on the music, on creating the characters. Like, he still gets a check every time a new Halloween movie gets made. Or
But what about merchandise?
no, I don't think he gets any of that.
It's like it's right up there with, you know,
Spider-Man.
Nightmare Before Christmas. I
Yeah.
feel like there's a Nightmare Before Christmas section of every fucking store.
Yeah. He brings over to Halloween, he brings Debra Hill, who worked with him on that, and Tommy Lee Wallace, who also worked on that. He has a crew that he usually works with from movie to movie. The budget is $300 million, $300,000. That would be about $1.5 million today. And that was the budget. Debra Hill, I mentioned her. She was Carpenter's girlfriend, and she becomes a major figure in his career and outside of his career. She was the co-writer of Halloween. She's often like, when people talk about the making of the movie, they're like, you can look at this movie and see Dr. Loomis as John Carpenter and Laurie Strode as Debra Hill. And she put a lot of herself into Laurie, her experience as a babysitter and as a, you know, sort of overlooked but resourceful young woman.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Made fun of for exactly what people end up needing her for.
Yeah. She went on to be producer. She worked on Adventures in Babysitting, Clue, and The Fisher King, in addition to lots of Carpenter movies, even after they broke up.
That's nice.
And she died in 2005. She was only 55 years old. Also big champion of other women in the business. She was one of the only female producers at the time. And has a lot of interesting stuff to say about how she had to carry herself and how it was important to her to elevate other women that she worked with. Okay, so Donald Pleasence is the man that the most well-known member of the cast.
At the time of the at the time of the shooting? Okay.
He had basically been a character actor, a working veteran actor for a long time in movies and big movies and small movies and TV, probably best known at the time for The Great Escape and for being the first person to ever play Ernst Stavro Blofeld, James Bond's archenemy, in You Only Live Twice.
Are those nipples?
Are those nipples?
You've got a movie poster for You Only Live Twice, and am I seeing nipples?
No, that's a bathing costume of some sort.
They're all wearing flesh-colored bathing costumes that makes it look like that's where their tan isn't, because they took off their bikini tops and bottoms, and there's the nipples.
They're just trying to
nipples.
get you to look.
And it's working.
John Carpenter wanted Christopher Lee or Peter Cushing for the role of Loomis. Both of these guys are like legendary horror movie actors, and they both turned it down, which is good because they would have... I mean, Donald Pleasence is great, but it just would have made this seem like a different kind of movie. And they're much more theatrical.
Right.
So they hired Donald Pleasence. He's paid $20,000. That's the most of anybody in the movie. He films his scenes in 5 days. And he said he didn't understand the character or the decisions he made. But I love this detail from the book Taking Shape, which is about the making of the Halloween series. And how like unattached Carpenter was to his ideas. Like if somebody had something else, he's like, yeah, we can do that. He had a scene where Loomis calls his wife. It says like, oh yeah, I'm okay. I'll be home in a few days. And the actor, Donald Pleasence, said, this character doesn't have a wife. He would never have a wife.
Right.
And Carpenter was like, oh, you're right. So they took it out.
Right. He's not lovable.
It just,
and his work.
It's not just that he's not lovable. It's like, no, this character just does not, this character doesn't have things. He exists in life to be like, no, Michael Myers is evil.
Right. Well, and look at the way he treated that perfectly respectable nurse in the opening scene, or not the opening, the opening after the credits.
He's a dick. Yeah.
He's a dismissive man.
For the crucial role of Laurie, they go with Jamie Lee Curtis. She was 19 years old at the time of filming. And she's a damn Nepo baby.
Son of a bitch.
Janet Leigh is her mother, and then Tony Curtis is her father. So
where'd she get that chin? I guess Tony.
From those, probably.
Neither of them have the bone structure she does. Are we sure it's Tony? It's fine. Continue.
Debra Hill openly said that they knew it would be good publicity if they hired Janet Leigh's daughter. Not that like Jamie Lee, they didn't think she was a good actress, but on top of everything else, we'll get some attention because we have
the horror community. Was she also in The Birds? Those eyes make me think The Birds.
She was not in The Birds, but she's like a prototypical Hitchcock blonde.
Yeah.
That's just Alfred Hitchcock had a type.
Just those eyes, they're so wide.
So this movie made Jamie Lee Curtis, a kind of star, and she starred in other horror movies like Terror Train and Prom Night, and this is where she gets the Scream Queen moniker before she goes into like respectable movies.
Which it's impressive that she was able to make it the jump.
Yeah, it doesn't
Especially
happen
back then. Yeah,
but what I like about her is she's never like been embarrassed. She loves Halloween and she loves John Carpenter, and she's has her whole career, gone to cons and stuff.
Aww.
And then, this year she won an Oscar for Everything Everywhere All at Once. And I just want to play a clip from her speech because I thought it was nice that she did this.
To all of the people who have supported the genre movies that I have made for all these years, the thousands and hundreds of thousands of people, we just won an Oscar together.
Aww. I get goosebumps.
Yeah, because everything she said up until then was just like people I know and people who help me in my career. But then, to the fans. Yeah.
It's a strong community. I think I definitely, I don't know that I estimated it at all. But if I had, it would have been an underestimate.
All right. Can I now...
Jamie it up in here?
No. Well, kind of. Just
get Jamie with it?
In ridiculous detail, mansplain the Halloween franchise to you.
Please do.
Okay.
What's with his face? All right, continue. What is that?
Which one?
Is it a mask or isn't it? It's just his head?
This one?
He's got a head mask?
Yeah.
Is that H2O? I remember her hair in
That's
H2O.
Halloween H2O, yes.
Yeah. I just call it H2O because I'm part of the film talk community. Just kidding.
We were watching Halloween last night and you said, should we watch Halloween 2? Because
Why are you pausing?
I don't know. You haven't talked in a while.
Yes, I just spoke.
Yeah, but
you don't hear me.
Yeah. Halloween 2 gets made 3 years after Halloween 1. It is a direct sequel. Carpenter comes back under duress. He does not direct the movie, but he writes and produces and does the music. And under duress because the company that produced the movie also produced his movie The Fog, which didn't do well financially. So they're like, you got to come make a Halloween sequel.
Well, and he was worried it wouldn't be good, or he just was feeling shitty about The Fog?
He didn't want to do Halloween again. He didn't want to keep going with this. And he also didn't intend to be a horror director. He didn't want that to be his thing. And he branched out and he did all kinds of other things, but they were going ahead with a Halloween sequel with or without him. So he wrote the script and he made the, kind of shitty decision that Laurie and Michael are actually brother and sister. So that's where this strand, starts. And he said, I did that because I didn't know what else to do. I was just out of ideas. It was just, we need something to happen. So I don't know, brother and sister. Halloween 2 is, it's fun. And a lot of it, you can convince yourself you're watching the first one because so many of the elements are the same. But a lot of the magic is gone. It's still pretty fun. And it's a lot more violent. The next year.
There's a new crop of friends. Babysitters to Kill, or what's the setting?
So it's the same night. And Laurie goes to the hospital.
Is that why it's called a direct? a direct sequel? Meaning it's just I don't understand.
Oh, I just meant like, I just meant to specify, to distinguish that from other movies where it's like Halloween 7 is a direct sequel to Halloween 2, skipping over Halloweens 3 through 6.
But it's only 1 and 2, so how could it not be?
I shouldn't have put that.
Okay, but it's the same night, meaning Jamie doesn't age? You're supposed to imagine she didn't?
You're supposed to imagine she didn't, and she has a wig on. She's supposed to be the same age, but she looks older, and now she has short hair, but has a big wig on.
So it's a redo?
No. This is what happens after the events of Halloween 1. She goes to the hospital, and she's out of commission for a lot of the movie. She's just in a hospital bed. And then we meet like characters who were supposed to be her other friends who we'd never heard of before.
Okay.
Oh, and the boy that she has a crush on.
Yeah, does she ever go to that dance?
No, but he's in the movie and he gets killed.
Oh, good.
Ben Tramer. Halloween 3 is, John Carpenter had this idea. What we should do is make this an anthology series. We don't need Michael Myers. We don't need Laurie Strode. We'll just tell other stories about Halloween.
Okay.
So he writes Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, which involves haunted masks. And involves like ancient Irish curses and Stonehenge in some weird way, but also it's kind of a cyber thriller. There's amazing 1982 computer screens and a very synthy score. And this movie's great, but everyone hated it at the time.
If they had thought of it as something not at all related to the Halloween movies, do you think it'd be different?
I think people would have liked it better. It still is kind of like maybe a little underwhelming if it's not called Halloween, because it's like, this just seems like an episode of The Twilight Zone. But that's what's charming about it, is how kind of low stakes it is. But yeah, nobody liked it. And in Halloween 3, the movie Halloween is playing on a TV. So it's like, this movie takes place in a world where Halloween is a movie. That was not a well-received movie, didn't make any money. So now it's 6 years later and they bring Michael Myers back. Carpenter is just gone. There's no more John Carpenter. He's not involved in the series anymore. He's not doing the score or the writing. But they bring Donald Pleasence back as Loomis. He's in the next 3 movies. And now our heroine is a girl named Jamie, and she's the daughter of Laurie Strode, who is dead. So little Jamie is the hero of the next 2 movies. And then they increase the sort of ancient Irish curse. Michael Myers is powered by the spirits of Halloween.
What?
And that's the same for the next movie, 1989. These movies are both very successful. Actress? Her name is Danielle Harris. She's an actress to this day.
Yeah, she looks familiar.
Then there's 6 years go by. 1995, Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers. This is Donald Pleasence dies during production of this. This is his last appearance. Paul Rudd plays a grown-up Tommy Doyle. This movie's not very good. It doesn't make any money. So 1998, they start over again. And they bring Jamie Lee Curtis back and they say, it's been 20 years. Let's make a sequel to Halloween 2. We'll erase the past 4 movies. So now you never had a daughter. You're still alive. And Josh Hartnett is your son. And Michael Myers is still your brother. And now it's 20 years later and he comes to find you. And this is a fun movie. I like this movie. And it's a modest hit. But 4 more years go by and Jamie Lee Curtis has one scene in Halloween Resurrection, even though she's top billed and on the poster and everything. And then she dies very early in the movie. And this movie is really bad. And that's just basically the end of the original series.
Okay.
Now, enter the Hellbilly, Rob Zombie.
Oh, God.
Who just remakes the original Halloween. But this time gives so much backstory and context and information about Michael Myers and his childhood. And he and Laurie are sister and brother.
Do I want to know? Would I enjoy this childhood context bullshit? Or would it upset me? Rob Zombie almost always upsets me.
No, it would upset you. Oh, yeah. In this case, he has like an abusive stepfather, and that's why he turns evil.
He's not evil. He's just on the spectrum. I hate this.
Well, not in Rob Zombie's version.
Well, Rob Zombie doesn't understand autism. Again, if most of these movies are born with my theory, if most of these movies are born from parents' fears, what more than my kid's different? What's my kid going to be like as an adult? If I can't get my kid to respond to my requests and my demands right now, the larger he gets, the more dangerous he becomes, and he doesn't mean to be. And the world will misunderstand him, and the world will think he's evil.
Yeah, and in his case, in Michael's case, he got the worst care he could possibly get from a doctor who's like, I spent 7 years with him and then decided he was pure evil. What could he have done?
He didn't decide after 7 years. He decided right away.
No, he said, I spent 8 years trying to rehabilitate him and then another 7 trying to keep him locked away. But like, so what did he see? He probably this kid's not talking.
He spent 8 years doing this. Michael.
I know.
Michael.
Yeah.
That kid's evil.
Yeah, I know.
It's torture. And fluorescent lighting and loud noises and people who are suffering from delusions and other mental illness. I can't think of a worse place for someone on the spectrum.
Now, just to be clear, you're not saying you think John Carpenter, when he wrote the movie, was thinking that. This is just what you see when you watch it now.
I don't know. I assume John Carpenter would have said so, but I think it could even be unintentional. I think anyone who cares about kids knows that sometimes, even if they don't know what's going on, that there are kids who process things differently and appear weird, but are sweethearts.
Mm-hmm. And
they're misunderstood.
You said this is ruining horror for you.
It is. Yeah, because I see it. Well, you said that I went to Sam's and got a big bag of autism. And so I just keep giving it out every place I see it. But I do see it everywhere.
That was not for podcast.
I think it's, I do feel like that. I feel like the autism fairy. I just feel, I truly.
We have an autistic child.
Yes. And
so we are more sensitive. This doesn't give us like special permission to talk for autistic people.
Of course not. I do see it everywhere. And it makes me want to be nicer to people.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't mean that I don't get put off by people. And I still catch myself doing it and thinking, well, that was rude the way that they did that. And then I immediately go, you have no idea what kind of day that person's having or what else is on their mind. Mm-hmm. And what else, and anything to do or anything about the way that their actual mind works. I'm lucky to be a person who's very perceptive of facial cues and body cues. And even to just an average person, I have heightened senses. So I don't know. I just know I could never know. And so I just don't assume anymore.
Mm-hmm. You can, I've kind of just always accepted that you can pathologically understand anything that we think is weird or different.
Right. If you bothered to look into anything about that person, you could get to the.
And it doesn't need to be autism. It can be any number of things. And so it does kind of, if you want to tell a story about a scary person, but then you think a little bit, why is that person scary? You will start to feel a little cruel.
Yes.
It doesn't mean that it's not scary or that I cannot, because I don't think about these things when I'm watching these movies. But it happens to me in other movies, like The Batman that came out last year. Mm-hmm. The movie called The Batman has the Riddler in it, and Paul Dano is playing him. And he got so much praise for this performance. And in the theater, I was enjoying this movie, and then he steps on screen and starts talking, and I get furious at the movie because he's portraying the Riddler clearly as an autistic person.
Oh my God.
And autistic people coded as villains is like a very old trope. And I thought, like, in 2022, you're going to be doing, and not like it's a subtle thing. I mean, he's doing like noises and stuff that like are stereotypically autism coded. And so I just and I watched the movie again and didn't change my feelings about him. Like, no, you're trying to say what is scarier than an autistic person being the Riddler. Not that autistic people can't be villains, but it's clear, like, hey, you know how I can be like Heath Ledger levels of fucked up is if I play this guy like he's autistic. And I just like, I like Paul Dano as an actor. Now I like him less for making these decisions. And the director, Matt Reeves, I like him less for allowing this in his movie.
Well, and whoever fucking idiots are praising that. But people who don't have a person with autism in their life, someone who they care for and take care of.
Or someone who isn't autistic themselves.
Absolutely. There's just... I don't fault people for not knowing what they don't know.
Mm-hmm. So, and there's tons of stuff we miss.
Sure. Yeah. No. So I'm not saying, oh, they're idiots for liking that. They just don't have someone in their life or aren't themselves struggling with neurological misfires or just different fires. I don't know. I'm not sure how to put that.
So Halloween 2018.
Look, the progression of the freaking cover art of these, movie posters. This man gets sadder and sadder. He goes from perfectly easy. I know it's not always him, but the pumpkin is like the most innocent. And then it goes to Sinister Pumpkin. And then it goes to straight up fucking devil face. And then it just goes to like more and more of a mask that becomes more decrepit and sad and full of like emotion. Look at, that's not a mask anymore. It's got wrinkles. His mask got wrinkles. Go on.
I'd say it's effective.
Very.
He's growing. He's aging.
Yeah.
2018, they do what they did in 1998, which is let's go back to the beginning, but this time they went one movie further. So now they erase everything except for the first movie.
I think that's the right move.
It is the right move, but I do I like the sequels, but they still exist. It doesn't matter. But this is just, the Halloween series has some of the weirdest continuity, so many different tendrils. 2018, yeah, Laurie is back to not being related to Michael Myers, which is the right decision. The point of Halloween is this is a force. It is almost random. If you make it more particular, he's after you because you're his sister. That does make it less scary because you, the viewer, are like, well, I'm not his sister, so I'm safe.
I just love it. I love thinking of it as something that he wants to have her, not necessarily kill her, but like he wants to be around her and doesn't know how to keep her there. He just admires her for her care of the boy that reminds him of himself. I like to think of it like that.
That's nice. That's
okay.
I agree with you. That's what I think too now. Then they had Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends, which weren't good. And now the series.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm responding to the movie posters. Whew.
Halloween Ends. She finally kills him, and they put him in a trash compactor to make sure he's dead for real.
That's how you do that. Okay.
So that's it for our history of the Halloween series. Now let's get into talking about Halloween 1978. So the picture opens. It's Halloween. It's John Carpenter's Halloween. First thing we got to talk about is the music by John Carpenter.
Okay.
Right? Now, crucially, this song, the Halloween theme, it's unsettling because it's in 5/4 time.
Okay.
You listen to that bass drum. 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
It's a fast heartbeat.
Well,
it's meant to make you
music
pumped.
in comment time is 4/4. 4 beats per measure is sort of what our brains are accustomed to thinking of music in terms. So when you have this 5 beats per measure, it sounds like it's repeating before it's supposed to, and that kind of creeps you out.
Well, and it makes me feel like I'm running, and it sounds like the sound of running.
But I noticed the
Look at me.
oh, you are running. This version with the bass drum is not in the movie. I've listened to this soundtrack a bunch of times, and I thought I could never notice that bass drum before, but it's not in the movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, because they only had the computer. They only had a piano because of the budget.
Well, they have a synthesizer, and then they have this. And I couldn't find an answer on the internet for what that is.
Well, John had all that in his car.
Surprisingly. But I want to know what it is John took out of his car to make that. I consulted our music expert, Wade, and he suggested it's a hi-hat that's doubled up or a shaker.
A shaker,
but it's
like
electronically manipulated.
Lots of bugs in a jar.
Perhaps. Which we had on our app. Well, we had a jelly jar.
You did have a jelly jar.
Okay, and then the other major piece of music is Laurie's theme, which is very creepy, but it's in more acceptable 4/4 time.
As she is. Oh.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I'll never not hear that now. You've ruined music. Do they only play this when she's on? Whoa. Sorry.
I think they only play it when she's on screen.
I did not know.
And then the main theme is Michael's theme. So you have these two characters, two themes. Yeah. It's lovely.
I like that about it.
What do you think of the pumpkin?
I thought it was charming. I could see that it was probably just, what do we put here?
Well, I know they did. I don't remember what they wanted, but they wanted something like fucked up and disturbing, but they couldn't figure it out. So just put a pumpkin.
No, this was the right way to go because the innocence, to me, this movie is about innocence. So it works.
Yeah. Well, and innocence, something sweet and innocent reframed and seeing it as something sinister and disturbing.
fine, but I also think of a jack-o'-lantern as innocent, especially one that looks like that.
Yeah.
So that people see scary things in something that's actually fine is kind of what I think the start of this movie is anyway. Coming for you, Dr. Loomis.
All right, so it's Halloween, 1963.
Okay.
As many have noted, it's just a few weeks until JFK is assassinated.
Oh, all right.
In November 22nd. So he's got 22 days left on this earth.
In real life or in this movie's real life?
This movie has the same JFK timeline as real life.
That's not what I mean. I mean, is October 3 months before, or is it when it's released 3 months before it happens? You're saying, well, I mean, we know what time it is in this movie. We know it's 1963 and it's in October 31st. That doesn't mean it was released on October.
No, I'm saying the movie, the
1963.
opening sequence where Michael kills his sister takes place in 1963.
That's what I was asking. Right, because this movie came out in the 70s, right?
78, yes.
I'm so smart.
So, you presented a great case about, viewing Michael as a sympathetic figure, as a victim as much as anybody else, and seeing him as having some sort of disability, whether it's autism or something else, but seeing the system has clearly failed him and people don't understand him and nobody has the time for him. And so I watched the movie again through that lens and I found this opening just so much more devastating.
It set the tone from it's the second time I've seen it, or maybe the third, and I almost didn't finish it. I was so bummed out by that framing that I saw so clearly, especially when the light goes off in the sister's room and he clearly gets scared and upset and runs. He's running because he's scared, not running because he wants to kill somebody. And truly, the boyfriend having his costume mask pisses me off. If what I think of anyone is taking one of our kids' beloved toys, our kid loves his toys like they are friends. Mm-hmm. Don't put his friends on your face,
no, I know.
Horny
and
boyfriend.
Being like, isn't it so silly that I would have this on, this stupid thing?
Right. Aren't kids dumb how they like things that are stupid and lame? Also, he's not even going to call her after the sex. And that was the quickest sex ever. I'm sure that was remarked on many times in the past, but holy shit.
Jamie Lee Curtis in the commentary says, this guy's such a pig. This is the fastest sex I've ever seen. Because I counted this. This is 3 minutes and 12 seconds in the movie. He goes upstairs. At 4 minutes, 30 seconds, he comes back down. And this is supposed to be real time.
Right.
It's not actually one shot, but it's a faux one shot, a faux oneer.
Yeah.
And yeah, everybody jokes about.
How long is that?
So that's a minute. That's a minute 28 seconds.
That's enough.
And so everybody, yeah, but it's intentional. It's supposed to be a joke.
Well, and him not even committing to maybe calling her tomorrow is also like, okay, that's a disposable piece of shit boyfriend who's balding, by the way. What kind of teenager is this? A bald one.
So there's a lot of feminist readings of Halloween, and a lot of anti-feminist, but a lot of feminist readings of Halloween. I'm here to suggest Michael kills women who don't demand their boyfriends make them orgasm. And I'll build my case.
Okay, good. Build it. Build it like an orgasm, please.
I'm not totally serious, but not unserious either. Okay. Well, this opening, this is just some of the best filmmaking of all time. This opening, it's really the high point of the movie. Yes.
So we've now started this thing where we record the history part of our podcast in one day, and then the following day we do the run through the actual movie. So right now we have had a night in between the first half of this podcast. So that's how you had time to rewatch the movie after our discussion. So I just wanted, sometimes there's a little continuity stuff because we kind of forget what we've already said.
Well, I wasn't going to break the spell. I was trying to make it seem like you told me this before we recorded, your take on the movie.
Yeah, but I don't think you were totally on my side when I explained this to you yesterday. So I'm just happy. And I think it's a star on our marriage that you went and looked at it and gave it a go.
I take you seriously.
Of course you do.
I would never be like the unnamed boyfriend who pumps once and leaves.
Pumps and dumps.
Dean Cundy was the cinematographer. This movie looks incredible. The camera work is some of the best ever made, and Dean Cundy later went on to shoot movies like Jurassic Park and Roger Rabbit.
Those panning shots, that makes sense.
This whole beginning, it's not Steadicam, but it's like, I think it's called the Panaflex.
What does it mean? Like it's on a track?
It's a handheld camera that is unaffected by the person's like wobbliness. Like if you can't hold a camera steady, but the camera will stay steady because it has a gimbal on it.
Yeah. Yep. Got it.
And this is obviously a subjective point of view. This is, you are Michael. We are all Michael. This is all Michael's point of view.
Yeah, we even get inside the mask with him, which I think is nice.
This is Debra Hill's hand is the one with the costume reaching down, because that camera height, the little actor playing Michael could never actually reach down into the to get a knife.
That's cute.
So
and the mask is always, is shown as sinister, but I find any character in a horror movie with a mask, those are the most sympathetic people. Those are the ones who are struggling with mental illness or who have some sort of learning disability, and they are protecting themselves. And that's, it's like, oh, he put on a mask. He doesn't want his sister to look at him in the face when he kills him. Like, no, he's scared. Leatherface also, I feel like he feels ashamed of the way he looks, or maybe he just feels comforted by something around his face the way that it is. And then I guess I'm also thinking of Buffalo Bill, and that's different in that he's being transformative too, and experimenting with his gender.
Well,
but I think it's also a way of him protecting himself from the outside world and how they see him and how he thinks he should be seen. Anything around the face, it always feels
Jason
protective.
Too,
See, I don't know the Jason series the way you do.
But Jason doesn't get his hockey mask until the third movie.
Oh.
So in the second movie, he wears a sack over his head. It is important to him to hide his face.
Yeah.
It's so sad.
They're ashamed, or they're either ashamed or they need the comfort.
Yeah.
All right, I won't interrupt for another 30 seconds. Go.
Okay, here we go. Michael puts the little clown mask on, and obviously the camera now has the mask over it. And this is when the breathing started. And I've seen this movie 20 times, and I've never noticed the breathing.
Only when the mask is on, because that's what you hear. You're breathing in a mask.
Yeah, exactly. I had my AirPod Pros in, and I think that's why I heard.
Why are you plugging Pros right now?
I don't know.
Okay, maybe we can get a sponsor. All right, go on.
You tell me to go on a lot.
Oh, because I'm ready for you to go on.
So we are Michael. We are complicit in this, in what he's going to do. And in some respects, this movie is about voyeurism. It's about intruding into the private lives, places we're not supposed to go.
Don't agree at all.
Well, come on.
I don't think it's about voyeurism. I think it's about feeling like you're on the outside. That's not the same thing.
And looking in. Michael's constantly looking
feeling
in.
Left out.
Laurie's constantly looking out.
Go on.
And we as audience members.
We're not complicit. We're supposed to see this through his eyes. His eyes are innocent.
But that makes us complicit because we're...
In his innocence? I agree.
Mm-hmm. We, as moviegoers, we are looking at people's lives through a window.
Oh, a rear window.
So yeah, he stabs his sister, Judith. There is no gore. This is not a gory movie.
Can I point out what our kid said during this part?
Uh-huh.
Stop trying to cover your tits and protect yourself. They were like, one good slap and that boy'd be down.
It's true.
Yeah. You're playing too rough, Michael.
She's
nude.
She's nude and she's not smart. And she's thinking about how horny she is.
Right, because she has blue balls.
So, Michael, but yeah, this is not a gory movie.
No, it's not.
Which I think made our kid annoyed, who just wants to see some kills.
Right.
And this is not the movie for you if that's the case, which is weird because its sequels are so much and everything that imitates it is. Mm-hmm. This is also the only portion of the movie where the name Michael is spoken. And I think it's only twice. And the name Myers...
Okay.
It comes up later. They say you have to go to the Myers place and drop off the key. That Judith Myers died, but Michael Myers is never said.
Everything's referred to as a last name after there's a crime. It's because of it's to give the person distance from. It makes it too sad.
They're never talking about him when they say Myers. They're just talking. It's just Michael Myers is such a famous name. Many of the movies are called, Halloween : the blank of Michael Myers, but it's never said in this movie. In the script, he's always called The Shape. And in the closing credits, he's called The Shape. And lots of fans, when they talk about the movie, call him The Shape, which to me is like when a band sometimes
has a working title.
Have a working title, and then the album comes out, but they still call it the working title. And then fans will start calling the song the working title. And it's like, posers.
Okay. Lame.
But this is like how in Nightmare on Elm Street 1, he's always called Fred Krueger. He's never called Freddy Krueger.
Freddy?
But everyone starts saying Freddy Krueger, so the movies have to adapt.
Got it.
Yep. He stabs his sister. It's very scary and sad.
I didn't like her.
It's good. Okay.
The evil is gone. Fucking Dr. Loomis. All right, so Smith's Grove. I assume this is the name of the hospital. Oh, fantastic. This is where we meet Dr. Sam Lewis, and he is driving a nurse who he is not treating very well. She's a professional just like you are, sir, and she's about to go do hard work, which is, I guess, escort Michael to, I don't know, wherever they are going. I actually didn't pick that up on that.
They have to bring him before a judge. So I think they're bringing him to a prison or something to hold him for
forever. Right. Maybe he's aging out of where he is. But when they get to the hospital, eerily, you just see these white gowns speckled across the lawn. The patients have all gotten out.
And none of that isn't explained how this happens. And I love that. It's just.
Yeah, I just assume he incapacitated whoever he needed to, whoever was making the doors stay shut. And he didn't close the doors behind him. It's something very easy.
Right.
It wasn't like he planned an escape for everyone. He just needed to get out. And he's not stupid. He knew that this was about to happen. He needed to get out.
He is meticulous. He's a planner. So much of what he is in this movie, he kind of isn't in the sequels. But we're just talking about this one.
Sure.
The nurse is her name is Marion. She's played by Nancy Stevens. Marion is an allusion to Psycho. Like this movie's so great. It does things that like people shouldn't do, like naming your characters after other famous.
Loomis,
that's cheesy. Yeah. Don't do that. But in this case, it works. But a lot of people copy that for the
and don't have the same effect.
Exactly.
Okay, hate him.
Yeah. What did he see in Michael from his little one-on-one counseling sessions? Make him, you're evil, you're pure evil.
Someone wasn't responding to him and like stroking his ego and telling him how much that he's caring and helping. I mean, so a fancy decorated doctor, psychologist, whatever, who's like a magician of the mind. You present him a problem case and he's supposed to solve it. Michael's one he could never figure out. So makes him look stupid. So what does he do? He pretends it's the biggest, most horrible thing ever that no one could figure out. It's all about his fucking ego.
Yes. I couldn't reach him. No one could reach him. This is unsolvable.
This is a demon.
Hey, doctor, can I have a crack at him? No, he's evil.
No, don't touch him. He'll look at the wall at you. Okay. So now we meet Laurie. Laurie is given an assignment by her dad. She's going to go, he's a real estate agent, and she's going to go drop off some keys at the old Myers place. And this is when we first get to meet the little boy that reminds me of Michael. I assume that is the intention. His name is Tommy, and he's a precocious, talkative little fellow, and him and Laurie have a lovely rapport, and she's just clearly a patient and a good person, a person that is good with children. And just
she's off the clock and she doesn't tell this kid to buzz off.
Well, because you don't stop liking kids you take care of just because you're not getting paid in that moment.
You got to come up with a reason. I'm sorry. I forgot something at home. Go back. Let him walk to school by himself.
What? You're cruel.
She's not getting paid to be nice to him right now.
Again, that's not why you take care of people, because you're getting paid. Doesn't mean you don't actually like them, even though it's a job.
If you're good at something, never do it for free.
Oh my God. That is something very real about this movie. There are multiple times where someone just starts randomly singing to themselves, which people always do. I particularly love the scene with Annie when she's about to go pick up Paul, and she's just so she's just so thrilled. She makes up a stupid ass song, and I think it's great.
That's a made up song. The song Laurie was singing just there was made up, and it was literally by necessity. We can't afford to license the song for you to sing, so just do something. But she's singing something thematically. Just the two of us. As Michael said, we're back in Michael's perspective, watching her walk away.
Okay.
So the house that Laurie lives in, it's everything from this movie is famous. And because this was all just filmed in real locations, this was just somebody's house that was just sold recently in Pasadena, California for almost $2 million.
Not because of whose house it is, but because it's in Pasadena, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right. The Zillow listing doesn't mention Halloween at all.
What?
But apparently the longtime owners of this house were very cool with how many fans came up and took pictures, and they would leave out like Halloween decorations year round, and said, just don't knock on our door, but you can take pictures outside.
Thoughtful. They bring their own red leaves because the red leaves are fake.
Right.
These are not indigenous to Pasadena. You must bring your own red fall leaves.
So Laurie goes to school, and we have another fake thing where they're talking about a made up book and a made up author. Samuel says this about Collins. Here's a theme of the movie. Yeah.
Wait. They have to pay for the rights of a real like textbook moment?
No.
Okay.
It's just, I don't know. They couldn't find a real book that is about fate. So they just, I love that it's made up.
Yeah. I mean, it's not great, but it's also not the point. It's just like, we're going to talk about something that's going to matter now and later.
I love that Jamie Lee Curtis, that Laurie looks outside and sees Michael, and then she looks down and she tries to like kind of discreetly look up again. So I guess she doesn't get caught in class and doesn't get seen by him if she's looking, and he's still there. In my memory, it's always he's not there.
That's because that's what happens with the sheets.
And it's what happens after this time. She looks up again and he's gone. But
yeah, but it also happens in the bushes too.
It does, yes. But if you'd asked me when she looks up a second time, is he still there? I would have said, no, he's gone. Yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis is amazing in this. She's so good right here. And this to me is the scariest thing. Is just somebody just present, not explaining it.
The two scariest moments in this whole movie for me are definitely when he pops out of the bushes in her pathway, and they have to go around the hedge. Although, props to Annie for handling that. And the sheets. Yeah, he's on your property, dude.
It's what the scariest movie moment. Us, right?
Just 4 people on your freaking property
out there in your yard, and they're standing
there.
What do? You can't do anything.
Go on now.
Go on, get.
And why'd you bring your children to this murder?
And we also follow Tommy to school, and at least in Laci and I's reading, Michael feels very connected to Tommy. Feels like this is me. It's the Spider-Man meme with Michael and Tommy. And I believe this is our first mention of the boogeyman. And I looked it up and I did a ton of research on Wikipedia, by which I mean I skimmed Wikipedia. Right. There's no central boogeyman legend or folktale or whatever. Basically, every culture in the world has this thing, which is just the scary monster that's going to get the kids if they don't like go to bed on time or whatever.
And then they just get a Santa. So now you won't get presents. They always got to have a phantom.
You have both.
All right. Well, but don't you think they also just had to go with the word because they were calling him the Shape? And they get the Shape. He'll come get me. They just needed something. They needed a way to refer to a looming, and
tie it into a fear that already exists.
Yeah.
Because it's like, and this movie's about elemental fear of the forces of things that we are neglecting. We're not paying attention to, we don't understand. When you're a kid, it's embodied in a monster. When you're an adult, it's Michael Myers.
All right. The 3 friends, they are walking home from school together. They are saucy with each other. No one seems to really like to hang out, but they are making lots of plans to continue to hang out. So I can say I have not had a friend group like this, but watching it this time, it didn't come off as like these are not real friends. They just seem like they're pretty. They seem like popular girls who don't talk about anything very interesting with each other, and they are horny to the gills. So of course Laurie's going to feel a bit left out. She doesn't seem to have gotten her libido yet. Annie is bummed about old Jerko getting grounded. Okay, so
Jerko dragged me into the locker room, and now he's grounded.
Oh, that's why he got grounded. Okay.
Is that why that happened? Let's just say yes.
Okay, sure.
Nancy Loomis is Annie and PJ Souls is Lynda. They're both great.
She looks like a PJ.
I forgot my chemistry book.
So who cares? I always forget my chemistry book and my math book and my English book and my
vamping.
French book.
It's very bad.
Okay, PJ, just go.
Right, it's like
say everything you can about books.
Right, PJ, this is enough. You could have stopped at any moment.
Isn't that Devon Graham?
Hey, Devon.
I think so.
Speed kills.
Hey, jerk. Speed kills.
Kills. He wasn't even going that fast.
No.
In fact, he was going too slow. What the hell?
Tyler Smith of Battleship Retention, the great movie podcast, he tweeted, you think Michael Myers uses turn signals when he drives?
Oh, but he does.
Of course he uses.
Follower.
Yes, he's meticulous.
Well, but he cares about rules.
Mm-hmm. I agree 100%.
Yeah.
I do think, in 2017, that one scene is most of the reason we weren't crazy about the movie. because it just seems so weird. I think a lot of it is that it's mostly ADR, that this is that they don't have the budget for, I guess, lavalier mics. And this is they don't have they're shooting them from a distance, so they can't have boom mics.
It's the most fall looking scene though. I always there's something about the way it's shot that I'm just like,
oh, I love it.
Looks nice.
Oh, it's amazing.
What a nice walk home.
This movie, and this is why the slasher movies, especially from like 78 to 84, they're like, I want a Yule log of just these movies. Take out all the murder parts. I just want to live in this.
A Yule log.
Yeah. Like.
Are you stealing my joke? About how I want the preview channel to be in our fireplace instead of yes, I don't want to watch the fireplace on TV this Christmas. I want to watch the preview channel from the 90s.
Damn, I thought I was so clever. So yeah, the voices, they do sound disembodied because they're probably recorded 5 months later in a studio. The actresses probably weren't even together. And it's just probably like John Carpenter, or maybe not even John Carpenter's with them. And it's like, okay, PJ, now you want to sound excited, or you want to sound like you're teasing her. Come on, Annie. So,
yeah, you want to hate books.
You know, but
it's probably a timer. It's like, okay, we need 45 seconds of book content. Go. Because she doesn't even sound like she takes a breath.
We got to 37 seconds. What else you got? Well, who needs books anyway? I mean, books are just paper and binding.
And in conclusion.
So, yeah, this is a Yule log that I want to live in. And every time I watch this movie, before any of the murdering starts, this town is just haunted as fuck. It just seems partially it's the way it's shot. Partially it's because
it's a big street.
The production couldn't afford extras, so nobody is around, which helps, which contributes to the atmosphere of how creepy this is. But
I will say it is the most sparsely populated portrayal of Halloween night I've ever seen. I mean, there is always the moment with too many kids. And all the chaos, and then either the bad guy kind of gets lost in the shuffle and then reappears and it's a jump scare, or the kid you're with kind of gets lost for a second. And that's like, street chaos is just not a universal thing everywhere. Everyone's got their thing. We have Mardi Gras, but everyone's got Halloween. But
if they had that, it would. Yeah,
no, I'm glad they don't have it. It seems like a real low-key neighborhood, which is why you can imagine all these screams and no one helping. You know, you need the neighbors that won't help in the darkness.
Okay, so I did want to say about that. I do think this movie is getting at America is a violent place.
You have this theory for the last 3 podcasts, but go ahead.
Well, yeah, it's my grand theory. America is a violent place. I'm the only one who has ever thought of that. Built on plunder, built on genocide and ethnic cleansing and violent thievery. And we're the most violent, developed country in the world. And there's just like this. Every town's got its like gruesome murders that very quickly become sort of urban legend because nobody wants to talk about them.
Well, and they only want to talk about them in a spooky way, not in a let's be sad way. So they end up becoming like sensationalized as a way of distancing yourself from that could happen to anyone.
And it's too much to process the idea that this is present in our lives. You have to just ignore it. But then everybody who is ignoring the peril in this movie, they die because of it. And only Laurie is paying enough attention to survive.
All right.
And then Halloween itself. Halloween is a sanitized like artifact of a time when people thought this time of year is when the portal separates the living world from the dead opens up and the dead spirits come out and they're angry and we have to put up scary decorations to scare them off. And now it's this fun thing, but it's like we take this scary and dangerous thing and sanitize it and make it palatable and make it something we can live with.
You have labeled this slide Laurie's tiny bed. It is wild. Her poor long legs can't even fit on it. No one cares about Laurie. And she just wants to do her homework and lay in that bed, completely dressed from head to toe. All right, so we're in her room. She's not doing much of anything in there. All we really need her to do is look out the window so we can see Michael. And it's my favorite scene in the whole movie. And then she tells herself to calm down. She's being ridiculous. No, you're not. You're doing normal shit when someone's in your yard. That's a normal reaction. What's not normal is to tell no one. What? She's I never noticed it, but she's just a completely unsupervised person. Well, no, her dad's in the beginning. Where's her parents?
Where are our parents?
Give the responsibility to people still in high school as if they are adults, and I think it's stupid.
On the other hand, I mean, this is deliberate set decoration. She has a doll on her dresser. She's in this ridiculously tiny child's bed, even though she's tall and lanky and can't fit in it.
Just thought it was a budget thing.
She is this overgrown child. Like, she's physically an adult, basically. And John Carpenter, he talks, he's very against the idea that she survives because she's a virgin. And he says, if anything, she channels her sexual frustration and uses that to defeat Michael in the end. In the bedroom, I mean, if we want to get really deep about it, the bed is the symbol of sex, but it's this tiny bed. It couldn't fit two people. But she's like this adult who's still being forced into sort of a child's role.
Well, and those leggings. Come on. I don't need a freaking skirt that goes to your knees plus leggings I can't see through all the way down to your loafers. Ugh, get some sex appeal, Annie. Thank God she puts on those.
Laurie.
That also, sorry, the doll Annie is behind her in this room. So, okay. But I love the second outfit. The outfit she's in for the rest of the movie. Got booty for days. Cakes.
I didn't notice. She's
good pants.
Guys don't like her because they think she's too smart.
Well, which is really sad line, and the way she delivers it is so effective. They think I'm too smart. That's a real thing.
It's sad to say that. It's also just sad that she's aware of that. Like, that
she's smart,
itself shows like a level of awareness. Yeah.
Yeah. You only got dumbasses to work with. You can't help where you're born. She makes do with these idiot friends and all these stupid fucking guys. This is I hate this detail in the movie. So Loomis, for whatever reason, knows he needs to go straight to the graveyard, not like go look at the Myers home or anything, but let me go straight to the graveyard. And I just want to see Judith Myers' headstone. And then he's walking around with the keeper of this cemetery. And then they look down and this little tiny rectangle hole. And I'm like, did she die as a baby?
I know. Everyone thinks that.
It's so tiny. Okay. So it's just her gravestone. And impeccably.
It's a perfect hole.
That and the gravestone. It's like beautiful marble. Like it's never seen any of the elements once it does come back. And believe me, it comes back. Anyway, this is dumb.
But this is where the grave man, he tells the story of I don't remember his name, but the guy who took a hacksaw and killed his children somehow knows the detail. First, he kissed them and excused himself from dinner and then got a hacksaw and killed them all.
That's in the movie. It's on the news.
No, but no one would know that if everyone was dead on the scene.
Maybe he left lipstick on the wife that he was wearing.
Yes.
Because he was repressed.
Every town's got a story.
Or maybe they were eating mashed potatoes and gravy. He left a perfect gravy kiss.
That's it. That's got to be it. Mm-hmm. Okay, not a plot hole. So.
Well, and like you said, as soon as a tragedy happens, it becomes lore. So why not add that? I mean, I'm sure what the news said was it was your typical Saturday night. He got home from work and then he killed. It's easy to just add. It was a typical Saturday night. So you know what I do when I'm having dinner for Saturday? Kiss my kids.
I love that. That's a great point.
Yeah.
We edit the story as we tell it, and we inject our own details.
Right.
So, we meet Sheriff Brackett. This is Annie's father.
Are we supposed to think he's creepy?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, because I think he's creepy when we meet him when he's alone with Laurie.
Yeah.
But then he seems, I don't know, fine whenever they run into him again.
It might just be that first scene, and he's got it's Halloween.
Well, okay, but anybody who's alone with a young woman or a minor, that's when they show up as creepy, or that's when you would find out. He's in front of his bros and at work and in the public eye the second time, so he still might be a creep.
And then the rest of the time he's with Dr. Loomis, who everybody's going to look reasonable next to.
Right.
But this is Charles Cyphers is the actor. Mm-hmm. He came back for Halloween Kills in 2021. And he, informs his daughter. Well, Annie picks Laurie up from her house. They're both going babysitting across the street from each other. And Annie pulls up in the car and Laurie gets in and the car is playing a song that's like, oh, well, baby, 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 baby.
I'm so glad I didn't know this thing about the fake music. It would have been very distracting.
I don't know if this is just some stock sound-alike song or whatever. Because later, this same radio station that they're listening to plays Don't Fear the Reaper.
Oh.
And it's probably where a third of the movie's budget went to was that song. But it's perfect in the movie. It does stand out as this is the only detail that is from the outside world is Don't Fear the Reaper.
Yeah.
So, okay, but we find out the hardware store has been robbed, but all they took was a Halloween mask, some rope, and a couple of knives.
He's not even wearing a Halloween mask. So who took that?
That's what he's wearing.
He is not. He's wearing like some weird white helmet.
In the world of Halloween, and this does have to get into the sequels, this mask, which in reality was just a Captain Kirk mask, spray painted white.
Oh. It's got a neck. That's what's weird. It goes down the neck.
Mm-hmm. But it is a Halloween mask. It's supposed to be a mask that anyone could buy. Now, they don't do that, but they do in Halloween 2, which takes place the same night. There are other people walking around wearing this mask, which confuses people. And Dr. Loomis tries to kill each one of them. Like, no, it's just evil. That's just Terry, the neighborhood. No. I love the way Annie greets her, the way she says dad, just very Midwestern.
Yeah.
And the scene where Annie and Laurie are talking in the car, it just looks gorgeous. The sun is setting, and this is prime Yule log stretch of the movie for me. So, the Myers house.
Not creepy at all.
No.
Just a house.
When they found this house in real life, this is also in South Pasadena. This is what the house looked like. It was dilapidated. So they had to dress it up for the early sequence before the murders take place. They had to make it look presentable.
Oh, okay.
This house was set for demolition in 1987, but it was saved by the owner of the house. Decided at the last minute to pick it up and move it to another location.
Oh wow! Because he just couldn't afford the taxes.
I don't know why. This is on this man's website, so he didn't say. But he moved it to some property owned by the railroad, and he wasn't allowed to dump it there, but he did. And then the city declared it a landmark because it was also apparently the oldest duplex in the city of South Pasadena.
Wow.
Yes. And it's currently occupied by a bunch of businesses who don't love all the Halloween fans coming to ask if they can come in. But
who else would fucking care about your stupid landmark?
I just love duplexes.
Lots of twins. We could both just live together.
Loomis and Sheriff Brackett are going to camp out at the Myers house because that's where Loomis thinks Michael will return.
He's so smart. That is because he is under the impression this is evil. Demons pick a vessel. Hauntings happen at a house. That just goes to show you this is not about someone who's evil. He went and sought out what he was missing this whole time. A caregiver. He went to his house for a second because it's what he knows, sees her, and then he's off to the races. Like, idiot Loomis, he wasn't going to haunt his fucking haunted house. He just needs love.
It's the Taylor Swift song. It's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me. Loomis is the problem. He couldn't be a caregiver. He couldn't help Michael address his need for nurture.
I met this 6-year-old child with this blank, pale, emotionless face and the blackest eyes.
It was a dark room.
I spent 8 years trying to reach him, and then another 7 trying.
Michael.
Like he just threw bars and he just couldn't reach him.
Pay attention, Michael.
Michael.
He never wants to pay attention to me. He never wants to do any work.
He won't lay on the sofa
I can't reach this kid. I don't know.
Oh God. If Dr. Loomis tries to talk to our kid.
I always mix up this speech with Quint's speech in Jaws because I always remember him saying like a doll's eyes, but that's how Quint describes a shark.
Everyone always
the devil's
describes.
Eyes.
People always describe sharks as having dead eyes or dark eyes.
Like a doll.
Well, they're just pinholes. Pinholes.
So babysitting.
So that's Laurie right there?
I just love Laurie's like dorky
no.
laughing face.
Why does it look like she has braces in this shot?
Which one? The middle one?
Yeah.
She doesn't. I don't know.
That's weird. It looks like someone pretending to be Laurie. Like it looks like someone dressed up as Laurie. I'm going to dress up as Laurie. Oh, and on this watching, I could not stop thinking that Annie looked so much like Baby from Dirty Dancing.
Jennifer Grey.
The whole time.
This picture especially.
And also how Michael Myers lifts her up over his head and they're in the water and she's doing the lift.
And she's constantly saying, Michael.
Shut up.
Describe their babysitting styles. How do they approach the jobs?
Okay, well, Annie just goes and fucks around in the kitchen, wears people's clothes and gets naked and yells at Lindsay from the other room, Lindsay! can you open a door and then close it? Lindsay!
Lester is barking again.
The dog's talking to me. Lindsay. That's what she does. And Annie, Laurie, is like comes over with a bag of activities, brings a whole ass pumpkin, engages with the kid, comforts him, doesn't believe him when he sees things. That bothers me, but I think she's in denial too. She's been seeing things all day. She's basically like Mel Gibson in Signs, telling the dog that he needs to calm down. He feels really silly. They both, okay, now talking on the phone was quite it's like the internet was. It is. They, oh my God, a landline. And so they're just, oh, what's up? Talking. We're across the street from each other, but we can hear each other like we're really close up.
Can you imagine?
Anyway, so they're on the phone a lot, but it's mainly to like get a favor, not kill time. Don't you think?
Oh yeah, no. Annie's playing the game. She's moving and shaking.
Oh yeah, she's like small talk.
Although she did do Laurie. The biggest favor anyone could do is she set her up. Laurie would never ask Ben Tramer out herself, so Annie did it for her.
We have no proof that actually happened. We never get to
you think
out.
Annie's lying?
Yeah.
Really? Oh, God. Oh, fuck Annie.
Right. She wants to get her in a good mood, so she'll babysit.
Oh, God. I never considered that she wasn't telling the truth. I thought she's at least being a sort of good friend. Even if Laurie doesn't want this to happen, she needs it to happen.
I think it's really presumptuous for people come into their sexual own at their own time, and some people are ace. Some people never have those kinds of romantic I want to fuck feelings. So I think it's really presumptuous of Annie to even assume that
wasn't
that's what
setting her
Laurie
up for
needs.
a sex date. It was go to the homecoming dance together.
Fine.
And sometimes shy kids need a little push.
All right, shy kid. I'm going to push you after this.
No one ever pushed me.
I'm going to push you so hard.
Don't threaten me with a good time. Well, did you ever babysit as a teenager?
I'm sorry if you listen to this podcast. I was responsible for my brother. Is that what you mean? I mean,
Laci.
Yeah. What? Hi.
Not everyone listening to not every question I ask you is something I don't already know the answer to. Other people are hearing this.
Okay.
And not everyone remembers every detail or has even heard it.
Oh my God. From age 11, I was responsible for my brother, who was 5.5 years younger. So I never stopped babysitting and cooking and taking him.
You ever get paid to babysit?
Yes. Only a handful of times because it seemed like a novelty, like, oh, I can make money for this. But the reality of it, I fucking hated it. Just being with some other kids and like them having opinions and I'm responsible for their well-being and I'm 13. It just seems so stupid. Like I'm not capable of doing anything if something were to really happen. I instantly felt like the parents were idiots. But you little creep show, weren't you like the babysitter of the neighborhood?
I was a very good babysitter.
You were a manny.
I was a manny and proud of it. Okay. Although as soon as I got a real job at age 16, I stopped. But
that'd be creepy if you kept going.
I mean, yeah, I even watched Halloween while babysitting.
That doesn't sound responsible.
All these babysitting jobs it was understood, just be in the house if the kids need something. I was not a Laurie and the kids didn't want me to be a Laurie. The kids wanted to play video games by themselves.
Did they want you to be a trolley?
But mainly they wanted me to leave them alone and I wanted them to leave me alone. And I ate Pop-Tarts and sat on the sofa and watched Halloween. I love that Annie says to Lindsay, look, Lindsay, I thought we understood each other. I'm going to go get fucked. And
I'm going to leave you to do whatever you want in this big giant house. Isn't that fun?
She gets butter on her, so she has to get naked. Everyone who watches this movie is like, what the hell is going on with this? Because she's making popcorn and spills butter on herself.
But I forget she's got a hot date. I always forget that part. And butter is oily and it stains. So I guess if she thinks she can go wash it right away, but just, Lindsay, I need a robe. Okay, let me go get you my robe and slippers. So she just looks in a closet and finds a shirt.
Presumably, I mean, Paul's her boyfriend, right?
Yeah.
Why is it so important to her? I mean, is it a hot date or is it just I want to hook up with my boyfriend? Why is the outfit so important?
In high school, you don't have such like sturdy relationships where you can just look however you want. You're constantly trying to keep impressing your boyfriend, or at least for the first few months. Or not, they don't seem like they have real steady people in this.
I think Bob and Lynda are. I think they are a.
Is that why they named them those characters for Bob's Burgers?
I think so. Yes, I think they seem like they've been together a while, and they'll probably keep being with each other. And they'll cheat on each other. They'll have other relationships, but they'll always come back together. So Annie spills butter on herself, so she has to get naked. My explanation is she's weird and dumb. Or not dumb. Teenagers are weird. They do weird, impulsive things. Like, now I have to get naked.
Yeah, impulsive.
And then she goes to the exterior laundry room.
That you can still hear someone if they're in there all the way across the yard. That's
interesting. She can hear the
interesting.
phone ringing, and then Lindsay can hear her. Yeah. Despite she's basically in another house.
Right.
Lindsay is inside the house watching The Thing from Another World from 1951, and John Carpenter would remake this movie in 4 years. And I was wondering, like, would a 7 or 8 year old kid in 1978 really be like entranced watching a black and white movie from the 50s?
There are options. Yes, of course you would.
Yeah, it's on TV. You got to watch something. It's also
creepy.
It's as old to them as the original Scream is right now.
Right.
And like our kid was desperate to watch Scream for years. Please let me watch Scream. So Annie locks herself in the laundry room and then gets stuck in the window with her funfetti panties hanging out. And Lindsay comes and rescues her. So don't ever tell anyone about this, she says. And, well, she dumps Lindsay off with Laurie. Laurie's always getting dumped on. Yeah, bring your kids. I'll watch them. I'll even put them to bed in this house.
Right. The people who hired you to watch their kids totally going to be cool with that.
Yeah, when they come home and no one's here.
Or there's a whole extra kid at the other person's house. Like, why are our kids in an adult bed together, sleeping?
So this is how Laurie ends up with both kids, and then Annie returns to the Wallace house.
Oh, Paul,
you gave me your all.
Right.
You got it all, Paul. And she's strangled to death by Michael in the car before he slits her throat. But this is the first kill we've gotten in the movie since the opening. And, he slices her throat, but mainly it's just a strangulation. Not much knifing in this movie.
Underwhelming.
And then Tommy is scared. He keeps looking out the door and thinking he sees the boogeyman. And this, to Laurie, this is like, well, you're just a dumb kid. There's no such thing as the boogeyman. That means I shouldn't be worried either.
Yeah, I feel like one of us already made that point, but sure.
Sometimes we repeat points. I don't know why this is so important to you. I said that.
Well, now that I know you steal material, I got to make sure people understand and trademark as I go.
I know. We're on a point system. This is all about credit. And then Loomis, we check in with him. He's waiting at the Myers house, and shitty little Lonnie comes up to the door, and Loomis is like, "Hey, Lonnie, get fucked." And this is the only time Loomis looks so happy. He's so pleased with himself.
He's like, haha, I got to be weird with a kid. Yay. I haven't gotten to do that in 15 years when I was really weird with Michael alone in a room a lot.
Hey, Michael, get fucked.
Right. I don't know why these antics aren't reaching him. Hey, you little quiet piece of shit.
Be good. Be better.
Right. Or this is the boogeyman, and the boogeyman says, be better. What does John Carpenter have to say for himself with this pumpkin in a bedroom? Who? I've never considered, okay, yeah, you put a candle in a jack-o'-lantern. So, I mean, you have candles in your house all over the place. That makes sense.
We're talking about the scene where Bob and Lynda have sex next to a jack-o'-lantern.
Yes, they have sex in some other adult's bed. Ew. All up under the sheets, too.
Did they bring the jack-o'-lantern into the room, or was the jack-o'-lantern already there?
I do not know, but okay, you're going to fuck in someone else's bed. I guess that's happened before. But you get under the comforter and the sheet?
Who wants to do this?
Who wants to roll around on someone else's fucking drool pillows? And, ugh, that's so gross.
It's just hair and just sticky pee, probably. And yeah, it's gross. Sticky pee from, Mr. Wallace has got problems, prostate problems.
Got it. Well, but also, that's not sexy teenager sex. You don't have sex completely covered up like this. Adults don't even. You're on top of the covers. It's too hot under there.
How do you know?
It's just a weird way to be done.
We never bring jack-o'-lanterns.
That's what I'm trying to say.
What we're saying.
That's what I'm trying to say.
I do now think Bob and Lynda brought the jack-o'-lantern in.
Because they're just such right. And then
they're
putting
dumb kids.
Beer cans on the floor and they're smoking.
This will be fun and romantic. A jack-o'-lantern.
All right,
but
I guess
imagine the smell in that room.
Jack-o'-lanterns famously stink of sex and smoke. Yeah.
I love Bob and Lynda. Bob and that's the most 70s names of all time.
I guess. Totally. They do give, that is his supernatural thing. They do give Michael weird, strong strength, but I feel like that's often been associated with people who have a learning disability or some other affliction. People are always assigning to them, like, if they're freakishly strong. It's just another way of othering and like giving them agency when they don't actually intentionally hurt people in the way that they are accused of doing. I'm not saying he didn't stab the shit out of this man right here, but I am saying it's a trope and a hurtful one. They can't be trusted. They're so strong.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right.
It's the fear that any parent has who has a child that that likes to elope, that sees something and is very compelled to run after it, even if it's a dangerous situation, or that might, self-harm sometimes, or, be rough and hurt themselves. And this fear of one day they're going to be so strong I can't protect them from themselves. And so I just assume that's why it gets lumped in. And people want to over penalize people. They don't understand. So why not give them he needs to be stopped. That's what we talked about there. They just finished their sex. Lynda had a great time. She's smoking a cigarette in someone's bed, which drives me insane, but I know that used to happen all the time.
Wait, hold on.
Mm-hmm.
You said she had a great time.
She pretends she does.
Okay.
I don't think she orgasmed. No, but at the end, she's like, that was fantastic. But as a teenage girl that had sex, you're welcome. Thank you for thinking I'm super cool. You're supposed to comment on it. Like, to not comment on it means you're not a cool girl.
Fantastic.
Well, I wouldn't have said that, but I'm just like, I'm sure you just, I don't know. It just seems rude to not go, there you go. You did that.
And we're done.
Right. I mean,
that is that.
Yeah. Orgasms just aren't a thing that happens when you're a teenager.
No, this guy's not going to make it happen.
You say that about every... All right, so...
Well, just every man in the 70s.
But at least she got him to do something for her because he owes her that. Go get me a beer. Where's my beer? Go get that beer.
Okay, but Michael knows all this, and that's why he attacks. That's what I'm saying.
He knows what? That she didn't give... Oh, this is your theory. Give that woman an orgasm or get killed.
And that's why he kills the man. The woman, you need to advocate for your interests more, so I'm going to kill you too.
Well, he gave her his sister's headstone,
No, that's Annie.
Really?
Yeah.
But it's in the bed.
I know. No, he moves Annie into the bed. He thinks when Laurie goes and finds all the bodies, it's Annie who's been placed in the bed under the tombstone. Like, Michael associates Annie with his sister. He thinks of Annie as his shitty sister. He likes Laurie.
Oh, that's true. He
doesn't like Annie.
Right. He kept trying to give Laurie a hug, and she'd be like, no, don't knife me. And it's like, he's trying to hug you.
And in these, like, he is going to kill Laurie, but this is all he knows. Like, he just doesn't understand.
Right.
That's
don't
not
you
what
want to be
do.
with your friends? Allow me to kill you. No, you're totally right. Anyway, so this is when he attacks Bob in the kitchen and stabs Bob in the stomach 5 feet off the ground.
And then Michael does the famous head tilt. And John Carpenter was like, yeah, it's utterly, it's so iconic. And yeah, kind of heartbreaking. This is Nick Castle plays Michael Myers, we should mention. He was John Carpenter's friend. And he's like, I want to be a film director too, John. Can I hang around your set? So John put him to work. He's like, put this mask on.
Do you like coveralls?
And Nick Castle would go on to direct your favorite movie, Dennis the Menace.
Okay. My favorite
and
movie.
Some other better movies, but yeah.
All right. Go on.
I will.
All right. So now, this is so bizarre. I don't really know what... This is one of the moments where I don't understand what Michael's doing exactly or where he got this idea, but I guess they just needed... It doesn't matter. All right. So now Michael shows up, but he's got a sheet over him like a ghost with the eye holes poked out, and he puts on Bob's glasses over it so that it can make Lynda think, I'm Bob, I'm Spooky Bob. And Lynda thinks this is funny for a second, and then she gets obviously off-put by him not responding to her. And where's her beer?
This is going nowhere.
That is a strange, like, oh, I guess we're not going to fuck again.
Oh, Bob can't. But he's
a teenager.
She's very melodramatic, just very quickly. Oh, this is going nowhere. I'm going to call Laurie. This is an example of something that's very incongruous with the rest of how Michael behaves throughout the series. In this individual movie, I do think it makes sense. I think in this movie, he's just
figuring out the world.
He's just kind of finding his voice, his artistic style. No, I think that he does kind of want to torment Lynda. I think he doesn't like Lynda. Okay. I think Lynda also reminds him of his sister. And so he's trying to play a trick. It's Halloween. Everyone's entitled to a trick.
I guess it's a trick, but he also maybe just doesn't feel very protected by her or very safe around her. So he puts yet another thing on top of him. But he does make it a spooky ghost costume. Like, there's some humor in it. Yeah, it's the one moment where I'm like, I don't know what you're doing here, Michael.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But he kills Lynda.
He does. Spoiler
strangles her with a phone cord.
Look at that. Okay, sorry. We now see a picture here of the headstone, and I mean, it's white. It's white stone. It's just like they couldn't spread some dirt on it. It's ridiculous. Oh, unless we're to think that Michael cleaned it.
Maybe he did.
Maybe he did.
But yeah, he took a lot of care to set this up and then lay Annie down prostrate on the bed. So Loomis is wandering in the streets and he sees the vehicle that Michael stole from him, and he's like, "Oh, he's close. I can feel him."
He's close. I can feel him. Here's the vehicle. Wow.
Something tells me he's here.
The detective work.
Laurie, she puts the two kids to bed. It's weird. Lindsay's asleep in Tommy's bed. What? I never put kids to bed when I was babysitting. Parents don't expect this.
Hell no.
Laurie, she feels something's off, and she's tried to tell herself this whole movie, like, I need to calm down. Everything's normal. Everything's okay. We're all okay. We're safe, but I don't feel like we are. So goes across the street to take a look, and then she finds the bodies. And this is, I'm sure this movie didn't invent the idea of the final girl going over and finding all the bodies that have been piling up as she's been unaware of all the murder taking place. But at least this solidifies it. This is a trope. This is something that has to happen in your slasher movie. And I've seen this movie so many times. This time I really was taken with how good Jamie Lee Curtis is in this section, how tense this section is, and just how scared she is. She's such a good screamer, such a good crier, and just, there's lots of great final girls, but she's definitely, the best actress to ever do it. Mm-hmm. And it really, really adds something.
She's a great screamer. And she's great with her face, her facial expressions. That's not great crying, but it's not terrible.
Michael chases Laurie into the Doyle house, and they do battle. I feel like the feminist reading of this movie points out that Laurie defends herself with women's tools.
Yeah, with a
sewing needle.
Yep.
A clothes hanger.
Yes.
And then Carpenter's idea that she's channeling her sexual frustration when she uses the knife to stab him. Yes.
Those are also tools that are the two things anyone ever points to when you talk about home done abortion: a knitting needle and a clothes hanger.
There you go. Really makes you think.
I guess so. They're just handy and pointy. All right. Homemade abort. That's not how you say that. All right. Go on.
Well, Carpenter. Go on. Carpenter.
Stop telling me when I have a fucking catchphrase. You ruined so many phrases for me over the years. I can't think of the other one. What was it?
Oh, there's items, rude, 17.
No, yes, but no, the one.
What is happening?
That's it. What is happening?
Hashtag what is happening?
How dare you?
What is happening?
Anyway, okay.
So Carpenter, his take on it is she's channeling her sexual frustration, and she uses a knife to penetrate him.
Okay.
She's wielding a phallus, you might say. And then Loomis shows up and shoots him 5 times. And then this is the end of the movie. This is maybe the greatest ending of a movie ever.
She's gonna cry there.
I'm glad I bet she appreciates that.
The boogeyman.
As a matter of fact, it was.
So Carpenter told Pleasence, when you go look down after you shoot him, just play it like you know he's not going to be there. Yep, I knew it. Damn it.
She's so evil.
And now we pull out. We hear the breathing no matter where we are. Can even go to different parts of town and we'll still hear him breathing because he's everywhere. He is the threat that always looms. He's the evil we create, the problem we ignore, the illness we refuse to treat. And he's the punishment for being a bad doctor.
And a bad parent. And a bad sister.
And a bad babysitter.
That was a good wrap up, Matt.
So, in conclusion,
here's my letterbox. Look at me doing things.
I love the Halloween series. I love Halloween so much. I love the Halloween series. I put it slightly below the Friday the 13th series, although Halloween is a much better movie than any individual Friday the 13th movie. But Friday the 13th is just higher floor. You know, you're in for a good solid time with Friday the 13th. But nevertheless, here are my Halloween movie rankings. Are you ready, Laci?
Ready.
Number 11. No, this doesn't include the Rob Zombie movies.
Good.
Number 11, Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers. Number 10, number 11. Number 10, Halloween Kills. Number 9, Halloween Resurrection. Number 8, Halloween Ends. Number 7, Halloween 5. Counting is hard. Number 6, Halloween 4. Number 5, Halloween 2. Number 4, Halloween H2O. Number 3, Halloween 3. Number 2, Halloween 2018. Number 1, Halloween 1978.
You did a good job. There are a lot of numbers in there, incongruent with the number that they were in the list.
It's hard.
It's hard. I like seeing all the posters together as a whole. Makes me happy. This moment always annoys me every time we come to it. I don't want to give you final thoughts. I just already gave you all my thoughts.
Now you need to synthesize them. What is your synthesis?
I feel like I left it all on the floor.
No, okay. So you hated this movie when we saw it in 2017. It's 6 years later. You had a better time.
I've already expressed that. Yeah.
Express it again.
I do think it's a good movie. It's hard to watch for different reasons this time, but I'm still glad I watched it. I'm glad it exists. I don't know what you want from me.
That's about it.
Good.
Star rating?
Shit. 3.5.
5 stars for me. One of the best movies ever made. Maybe the best horror movie ever made. Definitely the best. Well, you preferred Texas Chainsaw to this.
I did.
The most recent time we watched Texas Chainsaw, I was like, oh, this is close to Halloween. I would still give it to Halloween, but Texas Chainsaw is a close second. But great. Carpenter's great. His movies are so fun. Debra Hill is great. Dean Cundy's great. Jamie Lee Curtis and Donna Pleasence. Everybody did a great job. Good job, guys.
Congratulations.
So, if you want more of what we just did, you can, if you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe to the audio. It's very different. There's usually more clips. I take the clips out for the video version usually. But Load-Bearing Pod on Twitter, Load-Bearing Beams on Instagram, Load-Bearing Beams, load.bearing.beams on TikTok, Load-Bearing Beams Pod on YouTube.
Speaking of TikTok,
yes,
I have been quite active in the loving and accepting film talk community, and I would like to again, this podcast episode, give a shout out to 2 accounts in particular. One you heard about at the top of this episode, that's 13 Degrees of Screams. You can go follow them. They are a podcast about horror movies. They break it down each season by category, this season being technology. And then also, if you are a lover of movies, classic movies specifically, go follow Henry Marks's account, Lobby Intros, or Let's All Go to the Lobby, or let's go. Sorry. He is a old Hollywood historian, and he gives intros into all the classic movies. He's very knowledgeable and easy to listen to.
Hell yeah. I love classic movies.
Maybe someone will actually listen to our What's Eating Gilbert Godfrey Grape?
What?
Mr. Godfrey?
My man
Godfrey's grape. Maybe someone will actually listen to that one now.
Yeah, it is an issue when I'm like, let's do a movie from 1936.
You know, his first ever thing that he did on TikTok was about Rear Window. So I was like, hey, that's a movie Matt's made me watch. It's a Hitchcock. Anyway, I'm just saying, he's got good insight.
Otherwise, you can follow me on Letterboxd. My name is Matt Stokes 9.
What?
Matt Not. No, it's Matt.
Matt Not.
Matt Stokes 9. is my handle on Letterboxd. The music on Load Bearing Beams, including the song you're hearing, is by my band Rural Route 9. Rural Route 9.
Seeing a theme with the 9s, Matt. If you turn those upside down, now you're talking.
If only.
666.
You know I love the devil.
Right.
Happy Halloween, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to Load Bearing Screams. And we'll get you next time on our next episode.
Go get you. Like this. Okay, I love you. Bye.
3, 4. Everybody, love bearing beams, love bearing beams, love bearing